Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant Dawn, watching the stars through the massive viewing screen. Her ship was one of the largest in Earth's fleet, a symbol of humanity's place in the Galactic Council. For 15 years, Earth had been part of this alliance of 7 species that ruled the known galaxy. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. Officers moved between their stations, checking systems and monitoring deep space communications. Everything seemed normal, but Kate felt uneasy. Something was wrong, though she could not put her finger on what it was. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Sarah Collins from the communications station, "we're receiving new deployment orders from Council Command." Kate walked over to review the orders on the screen. Her frown deepened as she read. "They want us to move. 3rd Fleet to the Outer Rim. That's the 4th major deployment this month." "Yes, ma'am. The 7th Fleet has also been ordered to patrol the Andromeda trade routes. That leaves only the Home Guard protecting Earth's system." Kate stared at the orders. The Council was spreading Earth's ships across the galaxy like pieces on a chess board. Each mission seemed reasonable on its own, but together they painted a troubling picture. Earth's home defenses were becoming dangerously thin. Across the galaxy on Council Station Omega-7, Captain Ryan O'Brien was having his own concerns. The massive space station served as the diplomatic heart of the Council, where representatives from all 7 species worked together. At least that was how it was supposed to work. Ryan walked through the station's corridors toward the human diplomatic section. The hallways were wide and tall, designed to accommodate the different body types of the Council species. Centauri. Diplomats floated past in their environmental suits while heavily armored Havari soldiers marched in formation. The Keth moved slowly on their 6 legs, their ancient eyes watching everything. Captain O'Brien called Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez as he entered the human section. "I need to speak with you about the latest council sessions." Lisa was a skilled diplomat who had spent years building relationships with the other species. But lately she looked tired and frustrated. "What's the problem?" Ryan asked, settling into a chair across from her desk. "It's the voting patterns. For the past 6 months, every major decision has gone against human interests. Trade agreements, resource allocations, even basic security protocols. It's like the other species are working together against us." Ryan nodded. He had noticed the same thing. "Any idea why?" "Officially, they say Earth is still too new to the Council. We need more time to prove ourselves. But unofficially," Lisa shook her head, "I think they're afraid of us." "Afraid? We're the smallest military force in the Council, but we're also the fastest growing. Our technology advances every year. Our population is expanding to new worlds. Some of the older species haven't made that kind of progress in centuries." Back on Earth, Dr. Amanda Carter was making discoveries that would soon prove Lisa's fears correct. In her laboratory at the Global Research Center, she stared at data that made her stomach turn. "This doesn't make sense," she said to her assistant, Dr. Kevin Walsh. "Look at these research requests from the Council Medical Database." Kevin leaned over her shoulder to see the screen. "What am I looking at?" For the past 2 years, the Council has been requesting detailed information about human biology. Blood samples, genetic data, psychological profiles. They say it's for medical cooperation, but look at the specific requests. Amanda pulled up file after file. The alien scientists weren't asking about human diseases or how to treat human patients. They wanted to know about human weaknesses, about what could harm or kill humans specifically. "They're not trying to help us," Amanda whispered. "They're trying to find ways to hurt us." Kevin's face went pale. "Are you sure?" "Look at this request from the Valdris Science Council. They want samples of human respiratory tissue and detailed information about our atmospheric requirements." "Why would they need that unless they were planning to?" She couldn't finish the sentence, but Kevin understood. The Council species weren't just studying humans out of curiosity. They were preparing for something terrible. Amanda tried to report her findings to the diplomatic corps, but her warnings were dismissed. "The Council has strict protocols for biological research," she was told. "This is all routine procedure for integrating a new species." But Amanda knew it wasn't routine. She had studied the historical records. No other species had been subjected to this level of biological scrutiny when they joined the Council. Meanwhile, in the outer regions of Council space, Commander Nathan Pierce was observing military movements that troubled him greatly. His stealth ship, the UES Shadowrunner, was equipped with the most advanced sensors Earth had ever built. What he saw through those sensors kept him awake at night. "Captain," he called to his second-in-command, Captain Julie Martinez, "take a look at this." The tactical display showed dozens of ships moving through space in what the Council called routine training exercises. But Nathan had been a military officer for 20 years. He knew the difference between training and preparation for war. "Those HFY battle groups are too large for exercises," Julie observed, "and they're positioning themselves near major trade routes and communication hubs." It gets worse. The Koreans have been stockpiling military supplies at their border stations. The Belmont species has quietly moved their civilian populations away from potential conflict zones. Even the peaceful Zentari have been upgrading their defensive systems. Nathan had tried to report these observations through official channels, but his reports seemed to disappear into the Council bureaucracy. When he pressed for responses, he was told that the Council Military Command was reviewing the situation. But Nathan suspected there was no review happening. The Council already knew about these military movements because they were part of the plan. As Admiral Morrison reviewed the latest deployment orders, she made a decision that would soon prove vital to Earth's survival. She activated a secure communication channel known only to Earth's highest military commanders. "This is Admiral Morrison to all fleet commanders. Implement Protocol Omega. Acknowledge when ready." Across the galaxy, human ship captains received the coded message and began quiet preparations. Protocol Omega was a contingency plan developed in secret by Earth's military leadership. It was designed for a situation they had hoped would never come, but had always feared might happen. The situation where humanity's allies became humanity's enemies. As Kate Morrison looked out at the stars, she wondered if Earth's 15 years of peace and cooperation had been nothing more than an elaborate trap. The Council had spent those years learning about humanity, studying their strengths and weaknesses and positioning Earth's forces exactly where they wanted them. But the Council had made one crucial mistake. They assumed that humans were as trusting and naive as they appeared. They didn't realize that behind Earth's diplomatic smiles and cooperative attitude, humanity had been preparing for the day when friendship might turn to betrayal. That day was coming soon. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Thompson had always been good at his job. For 3 years, he had run the remote monitoring station on Kepler 442b, a small planet on the edge of Council space. His job was simple: watch for enemy movements and report anything unusual. But what he discovered on a cold Tuesday morning would change everything. Marcus was drinking his morning coffee when the long-range sensors picked up something strange. Deep space communications were bouncing between several Council worlds, but they were using old encryption codes that most people thought were broken. Marcus smiled. He had spent years learning to crack these codes as a hobby. "Let's see what you're trying to hide," he said to himself, typing commands into his computer. The first message made him drop his coffee cup. It was from the HFY Military Command to the Zentari Council of Elders. The subject line read, "Operation Cleansing Dawn, Final Preparations." Marcus's hands shook as he decoded more messages. The words he read made his blood run cold. The Council species had been planning this for months. Earth was to be completely destroyed, its population eliminated, and its resources divided among the remaining Council members. "Human expansion threatens galactic stability," read one message from the Keth High Command. "Their technology advances too quickly. Their military grows stronger each year. Action must be taken before they become unstoppable." Another message from the Valdris Science Council was even worse. "Biological weapons are ready for deployment. Human genetic targets have been confirmed. Estimated mortality rate, 97% within 72 hours of release." Marcus felt sick. The friendly aliens that Earth had trusted for 15 years were planning genocide. And according to the timestamps on the messages, they would attack in exactly 6 days. He immediately tried to contact Earth through official council communication channels, but his messages were blocked. Every attempt to reach human command was met with system errors or network maintenance. The council was jamming Earth's communications. Marcus switched to an emergency backup system that only a few people knew existed. It was slower and less reliable, but it might work. He began transmitting everything he had discovered to Admiral Morrison's fleet. On Earth, Dr. Amanda Carter was making her own terrible discovery. She had been studying the biological samples that Earth had been sending to the Council for years. What she found in the Council's research files made her realize that her earlier suspicions were correct. "Kevin, come look at this," she called to her assistant. "I've been analyzing the Council's medical research, and it's not what they claimed." Dr. Kevin Walsh hurried over to her workstation. Amanda's face was pale and her hands were trembling. "They've been using our biological samples to create weapons," she said. "Look at these test results. They've developed viruses that specifically target human DNA sequences. They can kill humans while leaving other species completely unharmed." Kevin stared at the data in horror. "How is that possible? They've had 15 years to study us. Every medical checkup, every routine blood test, every genetic sample we shared with them for medical cooperation, they used all of it to map our biological weaknesses." Amanda scrolled through more files. The research was incredibly detailed. The council scientists knew exactly how human bodies worked and exactly how to destroy them. "There's more," Amanda said, her voice barely a whisper. "They've already started production. According to these manufacturing reports, they've created enough biological weapons to kill every human in the galaxy 3 times over." She tried to contact the Global Health Organization, but her calls were redirected to automated systems. Her emails disappeared without being delivered. Someone was blocking her communications too. In space near the Arcturus system, Captain Jake Sullivan was witnessing the military buildup that would soon attack Earth. His patrol ship, the UES Iron Resolve, was conducting routine security sweeps when his sensors detected something massive. "Captain," called his tactical officer, Lieutenant Brian Kim. "You need to see this." The main screen showed a fleet of HFY warships unlike anything Jake had ever seen before. There were hundreds of them, arranged in perfect attack formations. Each ship was twice the size of Earth's largest vessels. "That's not a training exercise," Jake said. "That's an invasion fleet." "Sir, I'm detecting similar formations in 3 other nearby systems. The Koreans have assembled a massive fleet near the Vega system. The Belmont ships are gathering near Wolf 359. Even the peaceful Zentari have armed warships moving toward human space." Jake tried to report what he was seeing through official council channels, but his messages were either delayed or lost completely. When he finally managed to reach a council communication officer, he was told that the fleets were conducting standard defense exercises and that human ships should maintain their current patrol routes. But Jake knew better. He had been a military officer long enough to recognize an attack formation when he saw one. These ships weren't preparing for exercises. They were preparing for war. Using the same backup communication system that Marcus Thompson had discovered, Jake began transmitting his observations to Earth Command. The message was simple but terrifying. Massive enemy fleets were moving toward human space from multiple directions. The final piece of the puzzle came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez received a private message in her personal quarters on Council Station Omega-7. The message came from Counselor Zenth Ka, one of the few Zentari who had always been friendly to humans. "Ambassador Rodriguez," the message began, "I risk my life by sending this, but I cannot stay silent. The Council has voted in secret session to eliminate humanity. The vote was 6-1 with only my voice opposing. You have 72 hours before the attack begins. I am sorry. I tried to stop this, but I failed." Lisa read the message 3 times before its meaning sank in. Earth's alien allies had secretly decided to commit genocide, and they would attack in 3 days. She immediately tried to contact Captain O'Brien, but he had already been arrested by Council security on charges of suspicious activity. The same had happened to other key human personnel throughout Council space. The aliens were cleaning house before the attack. Using a hidden communication device that the Council didn't know about, Lisa sent an emergency message to Admiral Morrison. "They know we know. Attack in 72 hours. Trust no one. God help us all." Admiral. Morrison received all these messages within minutes of each other. The picture they painted was clear and terrifying. Earth's allies had become Earth's enemies, and they were planning to attack with overwhelming force in less than 3 days. She immediately activated the highest level of military alert and began recalling all Earth ships. But even as she gave the orders, she knew it might be too late. Earth's fleet was scattered across the galaxy, and many ships could not return in time. The Council had planned this perfectly. They had spent years positioning Earth's forces exactly where they wanted them, far from home and unable to defend their own planet. But the Council had made one crucial mistake. They assumed that humans would be caught completely off guard. They didn't realize that some humans had been watching, waiting, and preparing for exactly this situation. Admiral Morrison opened a secure channel to Earth's most classified military facility. "This is Admiral Morrison. Activate Project Prometheus. Authorization code Phoenix 77. This is not a drill." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, systems that had been sleeping for years suddenly came to life. Across Earth's solar system, hidden weapons platforms began emerging from asteroid fields where they had been disguised as mining operations. The Council thought they were attacking a surprised and unprepared enemy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Kate Morrison stood in the command center deep beneath Earth's capital city. The room was filled with dozens of screens showing the positions of every human ship in the galaxy. Red dots marked Earth vessels, while blue dots showed the approaching Council fleets. The numbers were not good. "Status report," Kate ordered. Colonel Patricia Wells stepped forward with a tablet full of data. "We have 48 hours before the first Council fleets reach Earth. Our ships are scattered across 17 systems. At maximum speed, only 60% of our fleet can return in time." Kate studied the tactical display. Earth's home defense consisted of only 400 ships while the Council was bringing nearly 2,000 vessels. The odds were almost 5-1 against them. "What about the hidden defense platforms?" Kate asked. "Project Prometheus is activating now," replied Commander Victoria Hayes, head of Earth's Secret Intelligence Network. "The platforms have been disguised as research stations and mining facilities for the past 8 years. The Council has no idea they exist. Victoria had spent years building a spy network throughout Council space. Her agents had been watching and waiting for something like this to happen. Now their patience was paying off. Our intelligence network is reporting massive Council fleet movements," Victoria continued. "The Havari have 300 warships moving from the Rigel system. The Koreans are bringing 200 ships from the trade routes. Even the scientific Valdris have armed their research vessels." Kate nodded grimly. "They're not taking any chances. They want to make sure we're completely destroyed." Across the galaxy, human ships were racing home as fast as their engines could carry them. Captain Derek Johnson commanded the UES Thunderstrike, one of Earth's heavy cruisers. His ship was 3 days away from Earth at maximum speed, but the Council attack would begin in 2 days. "Push the engines harder," Derek ordered his chief engineer, Lieutenant Commander Rachel Torres. "I don't care if we burn out every system on the ship. We need to get home." "Sir, we're already at 110% capacity," Rachel replied. "If we push any harder, we risk a complete engine failure. Then we'll drift home on emergency power if we have to. Earth needs every ship we can get." Derek's crew worked around the clock, pushing their ship beyond its design limits. They weren't the only ones. Throughout the galaxy, human ships were racing toward home, their crews working miracles to squeeze every bit of speed from their vessels. But not all of them would make it in time. Captain Jennifer Brooks commanded a destroyer squadron in the Outer Rim. Her ships were too far away to reach Earth before the attack began. "We can't get home in time," she told her officers during an emergency meeting. "But we can still help. The Council supply lines run through this sector. If we can't defend Earth directly, we can attack their reinforcements." Her plan was dangerous. 5 destroyers against an entire Council supply fleet would normally be suicide. But Jennifer's ships had been secretly upgraded with new weapons, systems that the Council didn't know about. On Earth, Dr. Amanda Carter was working frantically in her laboratory. She had discovered the Council's biological weapons, but now she needed to develop defenses against them. The virus targets specific human genetic markers, she explained to Dr. Kevin Walsh. But every virus has weaknesses. If we can modify our immune systems to recognize the threat, we might be able to create a vaccine. Amanda had been working for 36 hours straight, surviving on coffee and determination. The fate of humanity might depend on her ability to counter the Council's biological attack. "I've found something," Kevin said, pointing to his computer screen. "The Council virus uses a delivery system based on modified common cold symptoms. If we can block that delivery system, we can stop the virus from spreading," Amanda finished. "Get me samples of every common medication in the city. We're going to modify them to carry our own genetic protections." Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Brandon Martinez was overseeing the activation of Earth's hidden defensive systems. For 8 years, he had been secretly installing weapons and shield generators throughout the solar system. The Council thought Earth had only basic planetary defenses, but they were wrong. "Platform 7 is online," reported Lieutenant Susan Clark from the main control room. "All weapon systems are functioning normally." "Good. What about the planetary shields?" "Charging now. They should be at full power in 18 hours. Brandon smiled. Earth's shields were based on technology that humans had developed in secret. They were stronger than anything the Council had ever seen, powered by reactors hidden deep underground. The biggest surprise was still to come. Admiral Morrison had activated a communication system that the Council didn't know existed. While the aliens were jamming Earth's regular communications, human ships could still talk to each other through quantum entanglement transmitters. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," she broadcast on the secret channel. "Prepare to implement Ghost Protocol. Repeat, Ghost Protocol is now active." Throughout the galaxy, human ship captains received the coded message and began making final preparations. Ghost Protocol was Earth's most closely guarded secret, a set of hidden capabilities that would only be revealed when humanity's survival was at stake. Captain Jake Sullivan, still observing the Council fleets near Arcturus, watched as more enemy ships arrived every hour. The aliens were confident, talking openly on their communication channels about how easy the battle would be. "The humans have no idea what's coming," he heard one Hivari commander say. "Their ships are weak. Their weapons are primitive. This will be over in hours." Jake smiled grimly. The Council was about to learn that humans were very good at hiding their true capabilities. Commander Nathan Pierce's stealth ship had been modified with new systems that made it completely invisible to Council sensors. He watched as enemy fleets moved into position, counting their numbers and analyzing their formations. "The Hivari are overconfident," he reported to Admiral Morrison. "They're not bothering with proper defensive formations. They think this will be easy." "Good," Morrison replied. "Let them think that. The bigger the surprise, the better." With 24 hours until the attack, Earth's preparations were nearly complete. The planet's hidden defenses were online. The returning fleet was pushing their engines to the limit, and human forces throughout the galaxy were ready to fight back. Dr. Carter had developed a vaccine that could protect humans from the biological weapons. Chief Engineer Martinez had activated defense systems that would shock the Council with their power. Commander Hayes had positioned her spy network to strike at critical Council facilities. But the most important preparation was psychological. For 15 years, the Council had seen humans as junior partners, weak and dependent on alien protection. They were about to discover that Earth's apparent weakness had been carefully calculated deception. Admiral Morrison looked at the countdown timer on her command screen. In exactly 24 hours, the Council fleets would arrive at Earth, expecting to find a helpless planet defended only by a small, scared fleet. Instead, they would find humanity's true face and learn why you should never betray the species that conquered their own world through determination, innovation, and the refusal to give up. The storm was gathering, and Earth was ready. The Council fleet arrived at Earth's solar system like a dark storm cloud blotting out the stars. Admiral Kethvar of the Hivari commanded the massive armada from his flagship, the Iron Fist. He had fought in dozens of battles across the galaxy, but this would be his easiest victory yet. "Scan the system," he ordered his tactical officer. "Let's see what pathetic defenses the humans have prepared." The sensors showed exactly what HFY expected, a small fleet of human ships arranged in a defensive formation around Earth. The planet itself appeared to have only basic shields and a few orbital weapons platforms. It looked like humanity had built their defenses quickly and desperately. 400 ships against our 2,000, HFY laughed. "This will be over before lunch." What the Council Admiral didn't know was that Admiral Kate Morrison was watching him from the command center beneath Earth's surface. Her tactical display showed every Council ship in perfect detail, tracked by sensors the aliens couldn't detect. "They're moving into attack formation," reported Commander Victoria Hayes. "The HFY are taking the center, with Korean ships on the flanks. The other species are forming a second wave." Kate nodded. "Just as we predicted. They're so confident they're not even trying to be clever about it." The first surprise came when the Council tried to jam Earth's communications. Instead of the expected chaos, human ships continued to coordinate perfectly through their quantum communication system. The aliens couldn't understand how Earth's fleet was still working together. "Something's wrong," muttered the Zentari fleet commander, Zenthmore. "The humans should be blind and confused by now." But the real shock came when Admiral HFY ordered the attack to begin. The first wave of Council ships fired their weapons at what they thought were helpless human vessels. The energy beams and missiles struck their targets perfectly, but the human ships barely seemed damaged. "Impossible!" HFY shouted. "Our weapons should have destroyed them." What he didn't know was that every human ship had been secretly equipped with adaptive shielding technology. The shields analyzed incoming weapons and adjusted their defenses in real time. The harder the Council hit them, the stronger the human shields became. Captain Derek Johnson smiled as enemy fire bounced off his ship's shields like raindrops on a window. "All ships return fire. Show them what real weapons look like." The UES, Thunderstrike's main guns fired, and the Council got their first taste of human railgun technology. The metal projectiles moved at incredible speed, punching through enemy shields like they were made of paper. 3 HFY warships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. "What kind of weapons are those?" demanded Admiral HFY. His question was answered when the rest of Earth's fleet opened fire. Human ships had been equipped with weapons that adapted to enemy defenses. When the Council ships tried to strengthen their shields, the human weapons changed frequency to cut right through them. Captain Jennifer Brooks led her destroyer squadron in a flanking attack that devastated the Korean fleet. Her ships moved, faster than anything the Council had ever seen, striking like lightning and disappearing before the enemy could respond. "This isn't possible," said the Korean Admiral Jung-tae. "Human technology isn't this advanced." But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Admiral Morrison activated Earth's hidden defense platforms, and the Council fleet suddenly found themselves surrounded by weapons they hadn't known existed. "Platform 7, you are cleared to fire," Morrison ordered. The disguised mining station revealed its true nature as massive energy cannons emerged from hidden compartments. The first shot vaporized a Valdris science ship that had been preparing to deploy biological weapons. All around the solar system, fake research stations and mining facilities transformed into powerful weapons platforms. The Council fleet found themselves caught in a crossfire from dozens of directions. Chief Engineer Brandon Martinez watched from the control center as his hidden systems came online. Planetary shields at maximum power. All defense platforms reporting ready. The Council tried to break through Earth's defenses with overwhelming firepower, but the planet's shields held firm. Every shot that struck the barrier was absorbed and redirected back at the attackers. Dr. Amanda Carter was ready with her own surprise. As the Council ships began releasing their biological weapons, she activated the countermeasures she had developed. The deadly viruses designed to kill humans were met by modified versions that targeted the genetic markers shared by all Council species. "Biological counterstrike deployed," she reported. "The Council's own weapons are being turned against them." Within minutes, enemy ships began reporting crew sickness. The aliens who had planned to use biology as a weapon found themselves helpless as their own creation was used against them. Commander Nathan Pierce coordinated the space battle from his stealth ship. The quantum communication system allowed him to direct human forces with perfect timing. while the Council fleet struggled to coordinate their attacks. "Strike Team Alpha, hit the Hivari command ship," he ordered. "Beta Team, target the Korean supply vessels." The human ships moved like a perfectly choreographed dance, striking at weak points and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Every attack was precisely timed to cause maximum damage. Admiral Kethvar watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart by an enemy he had completely underestimated. Human weapons were more advanced than anything in the Council's arsenal. Human ships were faster and more maneuverable. Human tactics were brilliant and unpredictable. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our intelligence said the humans were weak." The answer came from Admiral Morrison herself, broadcasting on all frequencies so every Council ship could hear her words. "You spent 15 years studying us," she said, her voice calm and cold. "You thought you knew everything about humanity, but you made one critical mistake. You assumed we trusted you." The transmission continued as human forces pressed their attack. "We've been preparing for this day since we first joined your Council. Every ship you thought was weak has hidden weapons. Every defense you thought was primitive is actually more advanced than your own. Every piece of technology you believed, you understood was deliberately designed to fool you." Admiral Kethvar realized the terrible truth. The humans had been playing a long game, pretending to be weak while building an incredible military force in secret. The Council had been completely deceived. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships, fall back." But it was too late. The human fleet had surrounded the Council forces, and the hidden defense platforms blocked every escape route. The aliens who had come to destroy Earth found themselves trapped in a system that had become their tomb. Captain Jake Sullivan emerged from the asteroid field where his ship had been hiding. The Council fleet that had seemed so powerful was now scattered and broken, their ships burning in the cold vacuum of space. "This is Captain Sullivan to all Council vessels," he broadcast. "You are surrounded. Power down your weapons and prepare to surrender." The battle that the Council had expected to win in hours had turned into a complete disaster in less than 30 minutes. The species that had planned to commit genocide found themselves at the mercy of the humans they had tried to destroy. "Admiral," Morrison's voice filled the comm channels one final time. "You wanted to see humanity's true face. Now you have. We are not the weak species you thought we were. We are the species that will decide your fate." The Council fleet's surrender at Earth was only the beginning. Admiral Kate Morrison stood in her command center, watching as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Every human ship in space was revealing its true power, and the results were devastating for the Council. "Admiral," reported Commander Victoria Hayes, "Operation Retribution is proceeding perfectly. Our ships throughout the galaxy have begun simultaneous attacks on Council military installations." Kate nodded with grim satisfaction. For 15 years, humanity had pretended to be weak while secretly preparing for this exact moment. Now the Council would learn what happened when you betrayed Earth. Captain Michelle Turner commanded the assault on Council Station Omega-7, where the betrayal had been planned. Her ship, the UES Avenger, had been disguised as a simple transport vessel for years. The Council had no idea it was actually one of Earth's most powerful warships. "Breach the station's outer hull," Michelle ordered her weapons officer. "But keep the command center intact. We need the evidence of their conspiracy." The hidden weapons on Michelle's ship fired with deadly precision. Council Station Omega-7's shields, designed to stop normal attacks, crumbled under the assault of weapons that adapted to their defenses. Marine Colonel Tyler Anderson led his troops through the station's corridors. The alien defenders were completely unprepared for human military tactics. Council species had grown soft during centuries of peace, while humans had continued training for war. "Secure the command center," Tyler ordered his Marines. "Capture their leadership alive if possible." The Zentari Council members who had voted for humanity's destruction found themselves prisoners of the very species they had tried to eliminate. Their computer systems contained detailed records of the conspiracy, evidence that would soon be broadcast across the galaxy. Meanwhile, Commander Nathan Pierce was coordinating strikes against Council shipyards and manufacturing centers. Human. Stealth ships that had been gathering intelligence for years now revealed their true purpose. Strike Team Alpha, hit the Havari shipyard at Rigel, Nathan commanded through the quantum communication network. Beta Team, destroy the Korean weapons factory at Vega. Captain Stephen Clark's stealth ship materialized next to a massive Havari construction facility. For months he had watched the aliens build warships intended to attack Earth. Now those half-finished vessels would never threaten anyone. Fire, Stephen ordered. His ship's weapons turned the shipyard into a cloud of expanding debris. Years of Council military preparation were destroyed in minutes. Across the galaxy, similar attacks were happening simultaneously. The Council's military infrastructure, built over centuries, was being systematically dismantled by human forces they had never known existed. Dr. Amanda Carter's biological counterstrike was spreading through Council space faster than anyone had expected. The modified virus that targeted Council genetic markers wasn't killing the aliens, but it was making them completely dependent on human medical assistance. The virus has reached the Keth homeworld, reported Dr. Kevin Walsh. Their entire military command is requesting medical aid. Amanda had designed the weapon to be precisely controlled. It would incapacitate Council forces without causing permanent harm, but only human doctors had the antidote. The species that had tried to commit biological genocide found themselves at the mercy of human medical technology. Send medical teams to provide treatment, Amanda ordered, but only after their military forces have surrendered completely. The psychological impact was devastating. The Council species had planned to use biological warfare to eliminate humanity, but instead found themselves saved by human medical knowledge. The irony was not lost on anyone. Admiral Kethvar, former commander of the Council's attack fleet, sat in a detention cell aboard Admiral Morrison's flagship. His mighty armada was now under human control, his crew dependent on human doctors for their survival. "How long have you been planning this?" he asked when Admiral Morrison came to question him. "Since the day we joined your council," Kate replied. "We learned from human history. Every time our species trusted powerful neighbors completely, we were betrayed. We decided never to make that mistake again." Kethvar stared at her in shock. "You've been preparing for war for 15 years? "We've been preparing for survival," Kate corrected. "You assumed we were naive and trusting. In reality, we were watching, learning, and getting ready for the day you showed your true intentions." Captain Jennifer Brooks was leading the assault on the Council's communication networks. Her ships had been secretly equipped with electronic warfare systems that could shut down alien technology from light years away. "All Council communication hubs in Sector 7 are offline," she reported. "They can't coordinate their remaining forces." The Council species found themselves isolated and unable to work together. Their fleets were scattered, their commanders couldn't communicate, and their supply lines were cut. The military alliance that had seemed so powerful was falling apart in hours. Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez, freed from Council detention by Captain Ryan O'Brien's rescue mission, was now broadcasting the evidence of the conspiracy to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The recordings and documents captured from Council Station Omega-7 told the complete story. "Citizens of the galaxy," she announced, "for 15 years, the Council has presented itself as a peaceful alliance. But these documents prove they planned genocide against humanity simply because we were becoming too successful." The broadcast showed the secret meetings, the vote to eliminate Earth, and the detailed plans for biological warfare. Public opinion across the galaxy turned against the Council almost immediately. Species that had been neutral or unaware of the conspiracy began offering support to humanity. The Council had not only failed to destroy Earth, but had also destroyed their own reputation throughout the galaxy. Within 72 hours of the failed attack on Earth, the situation was completely reversed. Council military forces had surrendered throughout the galaxy. Their leaders were in human custody. Their communication networks were under human control. Their biological weapons had been turned against them. Admiral Morrison received the final surrender from the Valdris Science Council, the last holdouts who had hoped their advanced technology could save them. But human ships had proven superior in every way that mattered. "This is Admiral Morrison to all Council forces," she broadcast on every frequency. The war is over. Your leadership has surrendered unconditionally. Lay down your weapons and prepare for occupation. The species that had planned to divide Earth's resources among themselves now found their own worlds under human administration. The council that had ruled the galaxy for centuries had been replaced by human authority in less than a week. Captain Derek Johnson's ship now patrolled what had once been HFY space. The aliens who had considered humans weak and primitive watched human vessels patrol their systems with weapons they couldn't understand and technology they couldn't match. "Any regrets about trusting us?" Derek asked the HFY governor who had been placed under human supervision. The alien looked at him with a mixture of fear and respect. "We underestimated your species completely. We thought you were children playing at war. We were wrong." Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at Earth's solar system. The planet that the Council had tried to destroy was now the capital of a new galactic government. Human flags flew over former Council territories, and human ships patrolled space lanes that had once been alien domains. The betrayal had been intended to eliminate humanity as a threat to galactic stability. Instead, it had revealed that humans were not a threat to stability. They were the future rulers of the galaxy. The Council had made one fatal mistake. They had assumed that because humans were newcomers to galactic civilization, they were weak and naive. They never considered that Earth's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its military. It was its people's ability to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Humanity had spent 15 years pretending to be harmless while building the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. The species that had tried to eliminate them had instead handed them control of everything they had once ruled. Earth's fury, once unleashed, had proven truly unmatched.